funny thing, once I got into goats and realised how much money it wasn't costing me, that's when the pennies really hit home. And I named the merinos a leaf eater because they were always eating a leaf out of my chequebook. It was shearing, crutching, mulesing, wool packs, you know, just one thing after another, dip, chemicals, and the 3 or 4 weeks of shearing it took, you know. I'm sorry, but I'm 70 years and 9 and I'm still running a place. Mind you, I got 3 pretty good dogs here, pretty handy, but it's what I can do on my own. It's, you know, I would never do it with sheep. If I had to put sheep on tonight, I hope I'd sold the place yesterday. I'm John Vagg. I'm at Arana Station, 33 k's northwest of Ivanhoe. Arana's 48,000 acres, or just a fraction over. I came here and running a typical sheep and cattle enterprise, and prices were just going along, and wool prices are up and down, and so when the wool job crashed, and I looked at it, and I had a very good sheep class that came up, and he was going back and forth to South Africa and everything, and told him what I was thinking of doing something with the goats and maybe introducing a boar into it to up the weight range of them. And he said, we were talking about the goats. He said, you've got the best goats in the world, get in and manage them properly. They're adapted out there. And we never realised this. And then things started to happen. The abattoirs started to come online and buying goats, and we started to manage our sales a hell of a lot better. So that's when we sort of started to move along. Yeah. I believe I had a pretty sound knowledge of cattle. You know, I used to buy bulls and what I wanted, and so I applied that into the goats. So I was looking for upstanding, solid goat, and I didn't want anything with a pigeon chest and skinny legs. I wanted a solid animal that was put together, you know. So I selected those does and sold off all the rest and gradually put them in the paddock, and then I was also selecting the best of the bush billies. Like every now and then there'd be a magnificent billy, he'd be up towering over others, and he'd have structure, he'd carried himself well, you know, he was solid and strong. So I introduced that genetic, kept that genetic of the wild going for 3 or 4 years, and that's where I set up a good structure in the basis of getting this operation going. Going into the pole goats, which I've developed out here, and we call them the Western composite goat, to both the horn and the pole, because I introduced the boar into it and got this compromise goat which put the weight on it. And then I've developed a pole goat, which is a pole like the pole sheep and pole cattle. It just has no horns. And it all came about, there was just every now and then in the wild a few odd polies that turn up, and a few numbers are starting to breed up, and they wanted black goats and small goats, and they didn't want them with any more than a 2-inch horn on them because they were loading them into jumbo jets, so any longer horn was going to rub through the crate. So time went on, and I was starting to think, if I can breed these polies up, I can send a full-grown animal because he'll just sit in the aircraft. So that was the goal originally, to move into the pole and try and breed them up a lot more. And so I steadily worked on that on the sideline, plus producing the composite goat and getting that genetics going through the mob and breeding them up. And that's where we sort of went to, and getting the pole goats going. Anyway, the weights came back for the pole goats and the horn goats, and the polies were weighing heavier than what the horns were. Anyway, the next year when we had the young ones to go, we drafted them off again, and once again the polies went heavier. So then we did the third lot, and they were 2.7 kilograms heavier than their horny brothers. And at that time, the price was $10.50 a kilogram hanging up. So it was $28 difference between a horny and a poley, and that really set me going. So that's what really moved me into pursuing this pole genetic through now. Yeah. When we were mustering the feral goats and sending them in the market, their live weight by the time they killed and hanging up the carcass was yielding around about 41 or 42%. But then these Western composites were yielding 44s and 45s, and I even had one mob when nearly 48% yield in the polies. There were no figures out there when I went into goats to find out what percentages they were going to produce, and my kidding rates are running at a bit over 320%. You know, we did a mob early this year. In just one kidding, they did 190%. Still got visions of where I want to get. It's taken a long time to get up to this enterprise, and next year I hope to have, well, there'll be only one mob of hornies I'll be keeping back, but going up the race, you only got to draft them once and you say, well, put the hornies out, the polies run in, they're easier on the trucks, and yeah, the energy level, I'm still enthusiastic. It's just that the body and the knees are slowing down a bit.